All right, y'all. Today I'm gonna talk about a variety of topics in language learning. Instead of making 5 different videos on each subject, I'm just gonna make a long video because y'all know me. I just get on here and talk. I'm not really like a content creator in that sense where I want to try to make as much content as possible. So, also I know y'all like wasting y'all time on YouTube. So this will give you something to waste your time on. We're gonna talk about how difficult or how easy learning a language is. We're going to talk about what fluency is. We're going to talk about thinking in another language. And we're going to talk about content creators and which you should not listen to. All right. So, first, I want to say that anyone that says that learning a language isn't difficult and that it's easy, you got to check if they're selling something. If they're selling something, right, maybe you shouldn't listen to them, right? They say, everyone told you it's difficult, but here's the secret. Here's the easy way. All right, that's cool if they're not selling something. If they're selling something, I probably would look the other way. Language learning is difficult. It's difficult for different reasons. It might not be hard to do each little act, right? So if you know how to learn a language, let's say you know what to do to learn Spanish. I need to learn this, and this. The hard part is making time for it. The hard part is consistency. The hard part is getting out of your comfort zone. Those are the things that makes it difficult. Yeah, it might not be difficult to actually learn it, to look at it and say, okay, I know what this word means now. But now you need to conjugate it. Now you need to understand it in context. You need to be in a bunch of different situations to do that. You're not gonna just look at a word, read the definition in English, and just know that word. You might know how to translate it, which is not the same thing as knowing the word, by the way. So, learning a language is difficult. And no matter what path you take, no matter what app you use, no matter what book you use, it all leads back to a lot of time put in and over a long period of time. There's a gestation period for learning languages. You could look at something all day today. Let's say the subjunctive. You don't know the subjunctive really well. You could read 1,000 different articles about the subjunctive today. It's still going to take time and exposure for it to really sink in, for you to say, oh, okay, every time I say cuando, I need to use the subjunctive. Just because you read an article that tells you to do that, you're still going to be confused tomorrow when you try to do it because you've never done it yourself. You haven't put in enough repetitions, right? And so, what else was I gonna say on that note? Oh yeah, if you think about it, so I teach English, right? And I realize like how many expressions we use, how many phrasal verbs we use from talking to them. Because every time I say something, they're like, what does that mean? They're like, oh, I thought that meant this. And I'm like, well, yeah, it does mean that, but also it means this, right? So, for example, the F word. I'm not gonna say it because this is gonna be a family-friendly video. The F word. We can say F off. We can say you effed up. The F are you talking about? There's so many different ways to use that. So reading a translation wouldn't help you. Reading a book is not gonna help you really understand that. You need to hear it in context. You need to hear someone stuff there, tell them, say, man, that hurt, or get out of here, man. Like, you need to hear that stuff so you can feel what that word means. Because obviously every cuss word, every word has its own connotation in different places. You're not gonna know how much energy you're bringing with that word without hearing other people use it. There's parts of the world where you can say the C word, C-U-N-T, and it's not so bad. You do that in America, you're gonna lose your job. People are gonna be like, what did you just say? So reading a book is not gonna help you with that, right? Reading a book is not gonna help you with the slang that people use on a daily basis. I'm not even talking about regular expressions. I'm talking about slang too, because there's too many different regions in any country they have their own words that you need exposure to, and also just it doesn't really make sense to put it in a book. Like, that's not the neutral way of saying something, But at the same time, who speaks with neutral English, right? I don't call people and say, hey man, did you hear about that party? I heard there's going to be a lot of people there. I'm like, hey, yo, you heard about that kickback? That joint about to be lit. It's about to be stacked up in there, you know? And you're not going to understand that if you just read a book. If you're a regular English speaker, you still might not understand that if you're not where I'm from. But more than likely, you'll figure it out with context, right? So that's why we need to speak. That's why we need to have conversations. That's why we need to go out into the world and use our language. So anyone that's selling you a product that says after you do this, you will understand everything, you'll be fluent. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. There's slang in other states that I don't even know in my own language, right? When I went to college in New York, I'm from Texas. People were saying all kinds of stuff that I didn't understand, and I'll be like, what does that mean? And they're like, oh man, y'all don't say that in the South? No. I met someone from North Dakota or South Dakota, I can't remember which one. And they called the water fountain a bubbler, bro. A bubbler. I was like, yo, you're not serious right now. You don't call it a bubbler. You're messing with me because I'm from Texas. And he's like, no, the bubbler. Dead serious. They call it a bubbler. Minnesota, North Dakota, something like that. If y'all are from there, you probably know what I'm talking about. If you're not, whatever. Okay, I think that's enough. To sum up that section, like I said, no matter what path you choose, it's gonna be hours of input. When I say hours, I mean thousands of hours of input, and it's gonna take hundreds and thousands of hours of speaking for you to speak well, okay? You're not gonna just listen to people talk all day and be able to communicate yourself well. It doesn't work like that. You have to speak. There's a mind-muscle connection. You could read a word and you could hear a word and know it perfectly. When you try to say it, your tongue is gonna get tied. That's what's gonna happen. I'm sure you've heard little kids that haven't developed the means to say three. They say free, tree. They say all kinds of stuff because they can't say three yet. It takes time to develop that stuff, right? So it's the same thing. But moving on, let's talk about fluency, right? I'm at like roughly 4 years. I think I'm 4 years into my Spanish journey. I'm pretty sure I just made a 4-year video not too long ago. And people still ask me, do I consider myself fluent? For me, fluency fluctuates. And I don't like that word. And what I would tell you is that your goal should not be based on one word. Your goal should not be, I need to be fluent, because what does that mean? You know, everyone has their own definition. I could say I'm fluent and someone could say, oh, I heard you make a mistake. You're not fluent. I make mistakes in English too. I make mistakes in English a lot, actually. Maybe more than I do in Spanish. But I'm obviously fluent in English. I can express myself well in English. I can express myself well in Spanish. I could also say I'm not fluent because of X, Y, and Z. And 1,000 people could say, I consider you fluent because you can blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, that word means, dude, get out of my video, bro. Hey, get out of my video. This is not a dog video, this is Spanish. That word means nothing to me. Absolutely nothing. If you comment on this video and say, I don't consider you fluent, I say, cool, bro, thanks. If you comment on this video and you say, I consider you fluent, I say, cool, bro, thanks. It doesn't change my life. Whether I say I'm fluent or not, I still have to go into the world and do the things I do. I still have to teach English to Spanish speakers using Spanish. I still have to do business in Spanish. A lot of my clients don't speak any English. They don't care if I consider myself fluent or not. They care that I can communicate the things that I need to communicate, right? If someone, like when I have interactions with people that English is obviously not their first language, I'm not thinking, is this person fluent? I wonder if they tell people they're fluent. No, I'm like, yo, oh, you want to buy this? This is how we do this. Oh, you want this? Let's get it done. Oh, you're trying to sell me this? Yeah. It's just communication, bro. I get it. It's cool to make a video and say like, I'm finally fluent. That's cool. I get it. I'm not telling you not to do that. Seriously. But I would say don't let it have a negative impact on your journey. Don't say like, oh man, I'm here and I'm still not fluent. Oh, I'm never gonna be fluent, blah, 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 because it doesn't mean anything. Focus on what you wanna do in the language. You wanna be able to express your feelings. You wanna be able to sell something. You wanna be able to take a trip and buy stuff at the market. Those kind of things are what you should be working on, right? You should say, I wanna be able to do this without having to rely on the translator. Is that fluency? Is that not fluency? It doesn't really matter. If you can do what you wanted to do, that's all that matters. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. To sum that up, to me, fluency is not important. At least the word fluency is not important. Obviously, there's actual fluency and fluidity, which you want to achieve, but how we define it, whatever, bro. Just keep pressing on forward with your journey. Okay, third topic. Thinking in Spanish. This is one that I get a lot. This is something that I used to focus on in the beginning of my journey, but I have a completely different mindset on it now. This is gonna get a bit philosophical, but stay with me. I do not think in any language. I just think, right? When I look outside right now, I'm seeing a tree. You know why I'm seeing a tree? Because I'm talking to you in English. If I was back in Colombia, if I was talking to someone that spoke Spanish, when I looked at it, I wouldn't see a tree, I would see un árbol, because that's what I would tell them. So it has more to do with the person that I'm communicating with than it does what I'm thinking, right? If I stub my toe, it doesn't matter if I think shit or mierda. Oh, this is supposed to be a family video. Sorry. It doesn't matter if I think the S word, if I think the M word in either language. It just hurts, bro. Depending on who's around me, that's how it's gonna come out. You know what I mean? I think in both. But, bro, get off of me. What I would say is, you're never gonna not think in English, especially if you're an adult. You went 20, 30, 40, 50 years seeing an object and thinking of the word in English. It won't make sense for you to see that object and not have some kind of English association with it. All your memories with that thing are in English. Now, for example, fruits that I had never seen before I moved to Colombia. For example, lulo. Lulo is not here. There is no lulo. So when I think lulo, that's what I think of. If some other country has a name for it that's not lulo, when I communicate with them, I will have to learn that word. But I won't be thinking of the fruit in English because it doesn't exist in English. You know what I mean? So words are just ways for us to communicate how we're feeling, what we're seeing, what we want another person to understand. These objects, whether it's the wall or la pared, like it doesn't have, like, we assign those words to those things, right? So the more experiences you have with something in a language, the more that word is gonna be in your head. I could probably give like 1,000 examples of this, but there's just things that I don't do in English that I've done in Spanish. So when I think of those things, the Spanish words pop in my head. But if I've done something for 30 years straight, you know, I don't know, like weightlifting, right? I've done weightlifting all my life. The first thing I'm gonna think of is the word weightlifting, not levantamiento de pesas, because that's relatively new for me. That's the past 5 years of me saying it like that. So unless I'm speaking to a Spanish speaker, that will pop into my head in English, right? You don't need to stop thinking in English. You need to stop intentionally trying to translate expressions word for word into Spanish. That is where you're like, no, you need to stop thinking in English. If you don't know an equivalent expression, do not use the expression. I can't think of any expressions right now, but almost any expression you can think of is not gonna translate. And it's not even just not gonna translate, it's gonna not make sense most of the time. 99 out of 100 times, it's not gonna make sense. So instead of saying the expression, you need to just find other words. But don't try to get each word and say, this is what I'm gonna say in Spanish. That is the thinking in English that you need to stop. Not actually just thinking in English. If you know, for example, if I wanna say, I want to communicate myself well, there's nothing wrong with thinking that in English and then saying it in Spanish. Like, you've probably already said that sentence in English before. And so you're just like, okay, this is the structure that I want to use, and I'm going to say that in Spanish. There's nothing wrong with that. It's probably always going to be like that for you until you can speak a lot of Spanish. You don't intentionally need to try to get rid of it. Just the more Spanish you speak, the less you'll have to do that. So people, yeah, again, when people are trying to sell something, they always have these like super tricks. Do this and you will never think in English again. It doesn't work like that, okay? Everything takes time. It's that. Last thing, on the note of people selling stuff, right? Don't trust content creators. Even me. Anything that I say, you need to question. Does he have an ulterior motive? Is he trying to get more views? You know what I mean? If you have something to gain, you should be questioned. Even, like I said, even me. I don't care if you question me. You can if you want to. I try to be as open and honest as I can. I post full conversations on here. You can hear every single mistake I make. Look at any of my conversations videos. There's no editing, bro. From the intro, like I click record and we start the conversation. There's no like chopping of anything up. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with other people doing that, but for me, the whole point of me posting those videos is to encourage people to learn and to show what's capable with X amount of time, right? So I started doing those conversation videos probably around a year or something like that. I'll hit people up like, hey, I'm trying to work on my Spanish. You wanna make a video on YouTube? I'm not gonna chop it up because I'm trying to show you what's possible, what you're capable of doing maybe around a year or 2 or 3 or 4. People that edit stuff, you gotta question why they're editing it if they're trying to show you their real progress. And they're good with those chops, man. I've seen some videos where I thought it was clean, but then I'm like, oh, he cut the video right there. I wonder if he couldn't think of a word or something like that. Like I said, also people trying to sell stuff, questionable. The other thing too, you'll notice a lot of polyglots. Spanish is usually not one of their languages. You want to know why? Because people can check them on it. There's a lot of Spanish speakers in America. There's a lot of Spanish speakers on this side of the world. If you are a super polyglot and you speak Spanish, there's a lot of people that are gonna be like, you're saying that wrong, you're saying that wrong. How many of us speak Japanese? How many of us speak Mandarin? How many of us speak any language on that side of the world? And not even just that, how many of them speak English to come into the comments and say, oh, that's completely wrong. Oh, you're making that up, that's not true. So you notice a lot of these super polyglot guys, they speak all of these languages that we're never gonna run into anyone that speaks those languages. So we can't check them on it. And they're cooler because they're like, anyone can learn Spanish. That's easy, anyone can learn Spanish. I'm doing this super hard language. Maybe, they might be super fluent, they might be good at it. We don't know. So keep that in mind, because I remember lots of guys that I followed when I was first learning. I'm like, dang, like this dude's crazy fluent at 6 months, 9 months, 1 year. He doesn't make any mistakes, blah, blah, blah. Now where I'm at now, I can go watch those videos and I'm like, yo, this dude was saying a lot of stuff wrong. Like, understandably so, because he was only at 6 months or 1 year. You're not gonna be perfect at those times. But the point is, they seem perfect, but they're not. I know I'm not perfect. I know I make a lot of mistakes. Like I said, even in English, I make a lot of mistakes. That's the normal human experience. If you feel like a person is not making mistakes, that's suspect. That's suspect, bro. We all stutter. We all stumble. How many times has it been a Monday and you're just like, I completely forgot what I was gonna say? But these guys, that never happens to them in a video. That never happens to them. They're just perfect. 1 year of speaking a language and they just never make mistakes. They get everything correct. They know everything. It doesn't make sense, bro. It doesn't make sense. And I'm not hating. I don't care. If people want to believe it, go ahead. I'm just saying, if you subscribe to me, I'm just putting you on game. I'm just telling you, because I know how this stuff goes, bro. And a lot of these dudes too, The ones that claim to speak the most, they won't have a conversation. I reach out to a lot of these guys actually. And I'm a small channel, so I get that some people are like, I'm not gonna waste my time doing that. But they won't have any conversations on their page. I'm like, how are you claiming to be whatever in a language and you won't show people like what you're capable of? They just make a bunch of videos on how I'm so perfect at this. But bro, show us. It's really not hard to do a conversation. Like, you just call someone 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes. What they usually do is put like a 5 or 10 minute clip into their larger video. But like I said, it's all chopped up. So they got this one sentence that they say perfectly. And they're like, yeah, right around 6 months, that's when I just was flowing. That's when I was just saying everything perfectly. And I'm like, show the full conversation, bro. I would love to watch it. Like, not even, like I said, not even hating. I enjoy watching people's progress. There's so many. I bet you someone watching this right now can say that's true. I've commented on a bunch. Even now, bro, I still comment on people's like 6 months progress videos. I'll watch it and I'll be like, dope, bro. I just love to see people learning, bro. Especially Spanish, because I've done it. So I comment on people's 6 month, 1 year progress videos, and I'm like, cool, bro. Keep it up. That's awesome. So I just enjoy watching those conversations. I love hearing like the different, because the person that the people that taught me Spanish, they were from Puerto Rico and Colombia. So it's always interesting hearing the words that other people were taught from their teachers. I'm like, dang, this guy has this or these words in his vocabulary, and I don't even know that word because it's just not something I was taught. So I just like watching that stuff, man. And so, like I said, to tie that up, don't trust influencers, or at least be highly suspicious of influencers. Okay, there's nothing new under the sun. You can repackage stuff, but there's nothing new under the sun. If someone's saying that they have a new method, or this is the insanely easy way, don't trust it. Now, if someone's just selling something, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with selling something. Y'all know, like Mike Ben, I reviewed his book. His book is great. It's good. Like, if you're intelligent and you found an efficient way to do something, it's good. Like I said, you can repackage it and say, this is what worked for me. I think it could work for you too. But Mike's thing is not a gimmick. It's not like this is the secret way that no one has taught you before and blah, blah, blah. It's just straight up, this is what works for me, or this is what I think would work for you. Buy it if you want to, That's something that, like I said, you should still question everything, but that's something that you could trust because it's not gimmicky. It's just a product. I think that's enough ranting for today. I'm tired. I'm gonna have to take a nap now, man. Y'all watch these videos and y'all probably think I talk a lot, but anyone that knows me in real life, bro, I barely say any words throughout the entire day. So this was like my talking for the week. I probably won't talk again until Friday, bro. You feel me? So anyways, thanks for watching. If y'all have any questions about anything, it could be about Spanish, it could be about life or whatever. Like I said, comment, shoot me an email, shoot me a message. I respond to like everything if you haven't noticed. I don't have that many people that follow me where I can't respond. So if for some reason I don't respond to you, I promise you it's because I didn't see your email or your comment. I'm not ever ignoring you unless you're being super weird. All right? So, see you next time. Peace.